I haven't done like a get ready with me in so long, like a video where I'm doing my makeup and talking at the same time. I haven't done this in months. So this, I don't know how this is gonna go. But what is polycystic ovaries? Polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, or Pcos, whatever you want to call it, is basically a syndrome, I guess, where you have these cysts that grow on your ovaries, and these cysts are like basically little sacs that are full of either air or fluid. It can affect anyone that has ovaries. The most common symptoms of PCOS are things like acne, being like really hairy, like excessive body hair, mood disorders like depression and anxiety, difficulty losing weight, insulin resistance, which I think is linked to difficulty losing weight, irregular or like really painful, heavy periods, infertility, or not necessarily infertility, but struggling with conceiving, having children. So yeah. How did I find out that I had polycystic ovaries syndrome? I found out when I was about 16 or 17, I can't remember, but it was in year 12. And basically I went to the GP for something unrelated. Like I went to the GP because I had ingrown hair on my mons pubis, right? And it was hurting. So that's literally why I went to the GP. I feel like that's quite a common thing. And so I went there, I was like, yeah, it hurts. Then the GP was looking at my body, and then they just started asking me questions. They were like, do you have excessive hair growth? Do you have irregular periods? They already knew I had acne because I've had acne since I was like 10 years old. So like, and I'd been to the GP, like I tried so many things. So they already knew that. They just asked me bare questions, and then they were like, we think you should get a test for polycystic ovaries. So they booked me for the ultrasound. At that point, I already knew what polycystic ovaries, PCOS, was, but I didn't really think I had it. Like I thought, I might have it, but I was like, nah. I'd heard of it, you know, I knew roughly what it was, but this was like, oh shit, I actually might have it. So yeah, they booked me for the ultrasound. For the ultrasound, I had to drink like loads of water before I went. I think I had to drink like 2 liters of water or something like that. Because your bladder needs to be full so that your bladder can push up on your ovaries, I think, so that it can be more visible in the ultrasound. So I went, they put the thingy on my belly, the jelly, they did the thingy with the thingy, and they showed me on the screen that I had polycystic ovaries. And I remember like being like, oh shit then. But I wasn't really like upset because I had polycystic ovaries. I was upset because, this is going to sound weird, but I have this phobia called trypophobia. I think it's a fairly common phobia, but it's basically when you like the sight of like small holes or clusters of holes gives you anxiety. So I think I was looking at pictures of ovaries with cysts on them because I was like, I want to know what this is and what's happening in my body. And I think the realization of like, that's what's in my body, it just made me feel sick. And then I started crying. I remember I was crying in the car because my parents took me back to sixth form after the appointment. And I was just in the car looking at pictures of these ovaries with cysts on them. And I was just like, this is horrible. I don't want this. So I think that's what really upset me about it. I wasn't really upset about having it. I was kind of like, well, it explains everything I've been experiencing all my life. So, but it was like, that was the thing that freaked me out. It was the fact that my phobia was almost living inside my body. I think the good thing for me was that it explained a lot of things that I've been experiencing in my post-pubescent life. So acne, I'd had acne since I was 10 years old. I'd had acne that just wouldn't go away. I tried so many things, it wouldn't go away. So that confirmed for me that my acne was definitely hormonal. It explained why my periods were so irregular, because I started my periods when I was like 11 years old, but by the time I was like 12, 13, they became so irregular. Like I could never predict when my period was going to come. I would have periods like 2 to 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year, which is crazy, you know, because some people can predict their periods down to the day. I could never do that back then. I guess it also like explained why I'd had like anxiety and depression and stuff. I mean, I feel like with mood and like mental health stuff, it's kind of tricky because it could be caused by so many things. Like it could have been because I had polycystic ovaries, or it could be, do you know what I mean? It could be something else. So I don't know, but it explained why I was so hairy. Like I'm so hairy. Like I'm so hairy. So it was just explaining a lot of things. And yeah, I feel like the doctor that diagnosed me was really like nice about it. Like they didn't make me feel like there was something seriously wrong with me, because in reality, like it's not that deep. It's not like life threatening. Like I remember them telling me like, oh, you know, even though it might make conceiving children a bit more difficult, there's people who have had PCOS and still had children. So I remember them saying Victoria Beckham as an example, because obviously Victoria Beckham has, I think, 4 children and she has polycystic ovaries. So they were like nice, and to this day I don't really feel like it's that deep. It's not something I think about every day. It makes like some things harder, but it's like, you know, it is what it is. So I feel like they definitely helped to put me at ease. I do feel like though it's not talked about enough, especially among black women, and I feel like or let me not say black women, let me say black people. And I feel like it's particularly scary to have like a hormonal condition or something that can affect your like fertility, etc., being a black woman particularly, because there's just so much expectation on us. Like obviously I'm not even at that hurdle yet, but I just feel like there's a lot of expectation for us culturally, me being Nigerian and everything. I feel like there's a lot of expectation. So I'm not gonna lie, that is something that does scare me. And then on top of that, there's the fact that our healthcare systems don't actually care about us. Like I think the NHS recently released a report that literally proved that I think black women are more likely to die giving birth and stuff like that in the UK, but they have no plans of doing anything about it. Like they recognize, they're like, yeah, we see that, but we don't care, you guys can die. And I think that's something as well that kind of motivates me to pursue gynecology. Well, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to specialize in, but I feel like gynecology is probably my top choice, because I feel like we need each other in this field, because, you know, people would rather we die. People would literally let us die. It's definitely something that I kind of suppress. Like, I don't know, talking about it in this video right now is making me realize that, raw, this is something that I kind of think about, but I always push it down because I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, just thinking about giving birth and how much harder it will be for me and for a lot of black people, because our healthcare systems don't really care about us. I feel like it's also part of the reason why, and this is me being so real, like so real, it's part of the reason why I kind of have divested from the idea of having children, like, or the need to have children. I just removed my mind from it. I think because I'm scared, like, I can't lie, I'm scared. Like, what if I get older and I actually want to have children, and then it's hard for me to have children? Like, the disappointment of that. And then on top of that, you have the cultural pressure. Like, I see how people talk about women in my culture who don't have children. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you've achieved, you can, if you like, be an astronaut, cure cancer. It doesn't matter what you do. People will always talk about the fact that you're not married and you don't have children. So I'm not gonna lie, it's something that I think about sometimes, and that's why it's almost like I'm trying to shield myself from disappointment. I think part of it is truly me not being sure if I want to have children. Like, I'm actually genuinely not sure if I want to have children. I don't know. Like, it's not, I don't know. I don't know if I want to have children, you know, like, we'll see when I get there. Part of it is that, but part of it is definitely me, like, thinking to myself, you might not be able to have children, so you better just zero your mind. So many people who have polycystic ovaries still have children. It's not necessarily like, oh, you will never have children, but it's just going to be harder, and it's likely that you might struggle or you might not be able to. So let's talk about the irregular periods. So like I said, up until like this year, I always had really irregular periods. Like, they would be literally like, just any day my period would just come. I could never ever plan like, oh yeah, my period's gonna come on this day. Nope, my period would just come whenever it wanted to. And it would be like 3 to 4 times a year. And then I would say like last year and early this year, my periods were really, really bad. So like they were really painful. I had all the usual symptoms like cramps, backache, acne, nausea. Oh my God, the nausea. I always get really bad nausea on my period. Like, everything just makes me sick. Like, bleh. But last year and early this year, it was really bad. My periods were just so bad. The worst thing about my periods was I would get these really bad depressive episodes where I would literally just not want to be alive. It's not even funny. It's not funny, but I would just be like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive. And it was so weird because it was literally like clockwork. As soon as my period is coming, my mood just starts to plummet. And then as soon as my period ends, my mood starts to lift again. Another issue I had as well was really long periods. I think my longest period was like 16 days. And that was so scary because it was like, hello, like, is this ever gonna end? I was actually scared. The scary thing for me about having depressive episodes of my period is that it feels so like heavy. Like it literally feels like this is my life now. Like I'm depressed. And it's like, I know it's just because of my period, but it's so like consuming. Some of you guys will know that I had been toying with veganism for a while, especially like in January. I tried to do veganuary and it wasn't hard. I didn't do the whole month because it didn't feel challenging. Like I kind of did it because I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard. Like it's going to be a fun challenge. But it was like, I can do this. I like vegetables. I like fruit. I like whole foods. I like rice. I like potatoes and porridge, like sweet potatoes and beans and stuff. Like I like all of that. So this isn't hard. But it made me think like, maybe you can actually do this. But I was like, I don't know. What really kicked me up the backside and said, you need to go vegan was basically in February. I had this really bad period and it was just really scary. Like it was a really heavy period, like not just heavy like, oh, it's heavy, but the kind of heavy where I stood up from my bed and blood was running down my legs. I stood up and I felt like I was gonna pass out. So yeah, that was very, very scary. I'd already done research on polycystic ovaries and I'd seen people talk about how they cured it or like how they made it better and stuff like that. And everyone was saying, go vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try it, do you know what I mean? So yeah. I've been vegan for most of this year. When I went home for summer, can't lie, I was not vegan. But being vegan in my household is literally impossible. Why? Because these people, they eat everything. It doesn't matter if I bought it for my vegan self, they're gonna eat it. But what I would do is like, I would choose vegan options wherever possible when I'm in London. But when I'm in uni, which is obviously most of the time, being vegan is very like, it's feasible for me to be vegan here. It's just when I'm in London now, I can't really do it. So yeah, and ever since going vegan, I'll definitely say that I've noticed changes. My periods are regular. Like I get periods every month, which is crazy for me because I never used to get periods every month. Do you know what I mean? So, and my periods are getting more and more regular to the point where I can almost predict them down to the day. You know, I think I've had a period every month this year. Crazy for me. They're also like not too long like they were before. They're not that heavy. Having that hemorrhage thing in February and like losing all that blood and having to go to the hospital and stuff, it just really like, it just shocked me and it just made me feel like I have to do something about this. Like I can't live like this. This is really scary. And the hospital visit in itself was so triggering. And I don't necessarily want to say that it was about race, but I just feel like they really manhandled me. Like they just made me feel very uncomfortable. No, like that visit just really, like it really messed with me, and it was probably the worst day of this year. And I've been through so many things this year, but that was the worst day of this year. It was horrible. They were like, okay, we need to do a scan of your ovaries, right? So I thought they were gonna just do an ultrasound. But they got this thing and they like said lie down and they just put it inside me. And it was hard because obviously this was in Italy, right? And yeah, I speak Italian, but when I'm in a moment of distress and a lot of anxiety and I'm feeling a bit triggered, it's kind of hard for me to articulate in Italian, which is not even my first language, that I don't feel comfortable, that they should stop. So they were just being very, very rough, and they weren't really like checking if everything was okay. I just felt like they could have handled that way better. And it just made me feel like I really need to become a gynecologist, because if I was the doctor in this situation, I would have handled the situation a lot more delicately. Like, you don't just lie a patient down and stuff something inside them. Like, I was even like crying and stuff, and they were just looking at me and I was just looking at them. They were just looking at me and I was just looking at them. Like, they didn't care. So that's when I was like, let me actually take this vegan thing seriously. So starting from like that February time, I was vegan. I was trying to be gluten-free, but that gluten-free thing is not easy. Sugar-free was easy. Like, the fuck? Like, I'm still basically sugar-free now. It's just once in a while, you know, I'll just crave like ice cream or biscuits or something. But when I do my regular grocery shopping, I don't buy things that have sugar in them. And I can definitely say, since going vegan, sugar-free, and trying to limit my gluten intake, I've definitely noticed changes, like I said, with my period. So some of you guys may know that I have a vegan page on Instagram where I post things that I eat, because I'm really trying to be about this vegan life, for my health, for the environment, for my body, for my spirit, all that stuff. And I just feel like my life has improved since I went vegan. One thing I will say is I feel like I'm a 9-to-5 vegan, and basically what that means is that I came into this life to enjoy myself. And you know, so if I go home and my mum has bought suya, or my mum has made gizzard and plantain, like, bro, I'm gonna eat it. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But on it, like when I'm in uni, I'm on it, because it's just me who makes the decisions about food. It's up to me. There's no reason for me not to be vegan when I'm in uni. But when I'm at home, you know, enjoyment, once in a while, a little bit of enjoyment. But 9-to-5, I'm a vegan. So this concludes the video. I did the rest of my makeup off camera. Yeah, let me know if you have PCOS in the comments. And yeah, let's just talk. I feel a lot better after making this video. I've spoken to a few people recently who have polycystic ovaries as well, so that kind of makes me feel a little bit better. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Please make sure that you like, comment and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so bye guys.